I always throw this stat out. So 2 years ago, Iowa was ranked 79th in scoring in red zone efficiency. Texas was 80th. So I didn't think they could get worse. Last year, they were 113th. So they ended up being worse. So I can only talk about it so much, but I want to get your opinion because I've talked about this ad nauseum because this to me is the one thing if they become average at, they're going to start destroying teams.
Yeah. So I've watched every game, like on film, like I have to study it. I can watch it on TV, but when I watch it on film, I get a clearer picture of like what's really going on. So when you look at the games they lost, right? They struggle running the football. When we can't run the football, it impacts so much of our offense, especially as we get closer, because we haven't been creating the push. So what happened is we'll dial up a chunk play, hit one of those 4-3 receivers, 4-2 receivers deep, and we're at the high red zone. If we don't score in the high red, where at the time Quentin could throw with touch and place the ball, then we struggle matriculating the ball downfield just because we couldn't run the ball. Like we weren't generating push versus Georgia. We couldn't protect versus Georgia. We weren't getting push versus Ohio State. So then we tried going sideways. Well, the issue is they have good athletes too. So then you get stuck in the rut of kind of like we don't have an identity. Like we have nothing to hang our head on. But then when I looked at it, I noticed the one thing that was missing was a running quarterback. Just in terms of it makes the defense have to account for that every play. So now that pulls somebody out of coverage, that pulls somebody out of the box to stop the running back on a zone read. It, to me, Arch is going to be the difference in the red zone. Like not with passing, with his ability to run. Because now if things break down, he's mobile enough. He's a good athlete to where now he can make things happen with his feet. Guys come up, dump it over the top. You get cheap, easy touchdowns, right? Or knowing Sark, he's going to have a few design runs for him, protect him, get him on the edge, let him use the speed, touchdown. So I think what's hurting the pass is that we become predictable based on down and distance, where the ball is, tendencies of what the quarterback likes. And Quinn wasn't a threat to run ever. Like he could pull it down, get you 8-9, but like they were never calling runs for him. They were bringing Arch for that, which then even made you more predictable. You know what I mean? So I think how they utilize his legs that should improve, because we can run the ball at times, but like it's doing it consistently. That offense is built to run. As good as we are on the edges, when we get that run game going, now you bring more guys in the box, you get one-on-one outside. Now those receivers can go be great. Tight ends can go, be great, but we have to be able to run the ball in the red zone. And like last year, the last 2 years, really, we haven't been able to.
No, I completely agree. And I made a video like halfway through the year last year because in the Mississippi State game, some of these things reared their ugly head with turnovers, with pre-snap penalties, especially that needs to get cleaned up. But then also, it's 4th and 1 and we didn't get it versus Mississippi State. And like, I've seen this the last couple years, or last year and now this year versus Mississippi State on 4th and 1. You should be able to get that like 75% of the time. So if you're not able to get that versus them, how are you going to do versus Georgia, Ohio State? You can't win a national championship like that. And then we get to the Georgia game and you're, only average 1.4 yards per carry in those 2 games. And I still can't believe this. We gave up 28 sacks last year and 15 of them were to Georgia. They just pushed us around up front. And I love Trey Wisner, and I've said this, but he's just not the type of running back you want on, 1st and goal at the 1 or 2 yard line versus Georgia or Ohio State. You'd want more of a CJ Baxter. You'd want more of, honestly, like a Christian Clark, a guy, Jarrett Gibson, if he could hold on to the football, a guy that can push the pile a little bit. So I completely agree. And you see that with Sark too, like his first year here, they were pretty good in the red zone because guess what? You had Roshan Johnson, Bijan Robinson, then you had Casey Thompson at quarterback, which he was a running threat. So hopefully that does get figured out. They're also going to change the scheme, I guess, try to run a little bit more inside. I mean, they like to run it a lot anyways, but more inside zone. And they think they have the guys there on the interior of the offensive line to do that. Do you think the interior of the offensive line will get more push this year?
I mean, I would say yes, again, because of the quarterback. Because now so I watched the Georgia game couple times, The one in the regular season. I watched it, and
That was bad.
any inside zone, it would be two edge guys who don't respect the quarterback, right? So now the guard has to come off of guys, like guys have to come off their blocks or their doubles early, and they can't create that push with 600 pounds, right?
Yeah.
But now when you have to keep a guy out or maybe two to stop the quarterback or stop the RPO behind it, now you let that guard, all right, we can push, work up to that backer who's not even looking at me now. And now you create natural running lanes. So honestly, they should be better because I'm telling you, just because the threat of arch running, like it makes such a huge difference for a defense to have to worry about a guy who can run the ball. So and truthfully, I'm not worried about from guard to guard. It's the tackles I worry about.
Okay.
Like 15 sacks to one team is a lot. Even in 2 games, that's a lot. So and like it was in all areas of the field. It was backed up. It was red zone when we were in scoring range or in field goal range and we get knocked out. So I'm more concerned about how we play on the edges in terms of our tackles than our guards, because I think with more inside zone and more zone read, like they'll naturally get more push because of 16, honestly.
Okay. Yeah. So do you think, like, if, let's say hypothetically Quinn was still the quarterback this year, do you think they would be better just because of the personnel this year on the inside, or no?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yes. Think we definitely got better, but I also think like just schematically, it helps when you have a guy who can just run.
Yeah.
Like you look at teams who win in college football, every quarterback can move. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like the traditional pocket passer isn't much of a threat anymore because these D lines are really good.
Yeah.
Like if you let Colin Simmons just rush and with no threat of the quarterback running, he'll destroy you. He's done it, right? So yeah, like the personnel has gotten better for sure. Like which that always helps, but it also helps when the defense has to say, well, we have to probably have to put 2 guys on this guy. So
No. Yeah, that's true.
yeah, that's just how I see it. Just from being a defender, like I hated playing mobile quarterbacks. Hated it for that reason, because you always just have to be aware of the fact that he'll be back there and then he can just take off and go.
And this doesn't really have to go with the red zone was, but I'm curious, dude, when you watch Georgia on tape, like I watch them a lot just because they're really good. They're on TV all the time. They
Yeah,
never played like that versus anyone else. I felt like, was it just like a matchup thing, or did they turn something on versus Texas?
I think it was matchups.
Okay.
Like I think they knew they had the pass rusher, because if you look at it, they blitzed on first and second down. They didn't really blitz on third. They were run blitzing more so than like lining up for these crazy blitz packages on third down. So I think they knew and believed that they could just beat us one on one with games and twist up front, and that's what they did. But like, yeah, they play like that when they played real competition. When they
Yeah.
played Bama, when they played us, and then especially playing in Texas, like they were like, oh, okay, just watch this. It was to me that was a statement game. Like this isn't the Big 12. Like it was that message type of a game that they wanted to send more than anything.
Yeah, and they seem to, like, when I watched it back, obviously I don't have all 22 film, but I always see a little bit of clips on Twitter, and they would always shift their defensive line at the last second, and it seemed like to cause chaos at the line of scrimmage for Texas, and they didn't really know what to do.
Yeah. So when you watch it, they did a good job of getting the guys they wanted one on one. Whether it was the right tackle or the left guard or the center, they did a good job when they shift. That was to make them kind of
Matchups,
like declare the protection and then get the matchup they want. So now you're talking about who was it? 13 or 11
Michael
getting,
Williams, yeah.
yeah, like he's one on one with your right guard. I mean, it's tackles who win in the first round who can't block this dude.
Yeah.
So they did a good job of just creating the matchups they wanted, and our guys just weren't prepared just in terms of like how good he really is.
Yeah, Jalen Walker in that first game was
Oh, he
insane.
was crazy,
I mean,
man.
he basically either blitzed or when he spied Arch on that one, and then the closing speed was ridiculous how he got there that quickly.
And I think that was when Arch learned like how fast guys really are, because Arch took off like he had that was everything he had to get to
Yeah.
the edge, and just like a missile. I was like, oh yeah, welcome to the SEC, Arch. That's
Yeah. That clip, and then the clip that bothers me is Quinn Ewers had the clean pocket to step up, and he doesn't, and Michael Williams gets the sack, and everyone's like, "Look at the sack he got." I'm like,
fumble.
no, when he was on the ground and he swiped his legs, I'm like, dude, Kelvin
Oh
Banks
yeah,
pancaked this dude, and he swiped it and sacked him.
I mean, that's like I'm telling you, like I don't know what Kirby Smart told them guys, but that game felt personal.
Yeah.
That felt real personal. Like so, and yeah, like Texas was number one at the time. They were playing at home, new team to the SEC. Like I don't know what he said, but it was something probably along the lines of they think they run the SEC or something like that. And the players were like, "Oh, really?" And it was just kind of like, "Oh man," like that was rough to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the first half was probably one of the worst first halves I've ever seen a Texas team play, and I've seen some bad Texas teams play, man. So, yeah,
Fair.
I mean, I think there was that stat. We had less or we had negative yards at halftime or something like that, or
Yep.
negative yards until like deep into the second quarter, which is insane that that's even possible with as much talent as you have. So, that game was,
Oh,
and then this SEC championship game wasn't much better because you outplay them and you're only up 6-3 at halftime. So
that was that actually felt worse than the first game.
yeah, because the
Just
first game you were just getting dominated.
yeah, it's like, oh well, at this point, they're not necessarily better, but like they're just kicking our ass. I can live with that. But when you're doing like everything right and you kind of clicking and you're up, you're up 3 points. It's like, oh man, like this is a problem to me. Like that's more of a problem because when you're down double digits, it's like, all right, line back up, change some things, let's go. You're literally like, but in the SEC championship game, they were kind, we were hitting, plays that we needed to, doing things the right way, and to be up 3 points, it's kind of like, do we change? Do we keep going? Like, what's the plan? And I don't know. Both those losses hurt just because I don't like Georgia. I'm not a big Carson Beck guy. I don't think he's that good personally.
No, I'm not big on it either.
So to like, and like I knew our defense was more than capable of covering those guys on the perimeter, and we can get penetration, we can rush the quarterback. So like it didn't register to me how they were just able to move the ball after a while. It still hasn't clicked for me yet. How
No, and that's the thing too. And back to the red zone woes thing. Like, it's funny. The last 2 years we've been bad in the red zone, and guess where our season's ended the last 2 years in the red zone. I
red
mean, you
zone.
had Washington first and goal at like the 9-yard
Oh,
line, 4 attempts to the end zone, don't score. You have Ohio State at the 1. You actually go backwards. They ended up scoring. And that's the thing too. Like, this is how it's bad. When they committed that penalty in the end zone and the ball's placed at the 1, I'm like, oh, thanks. You just did yourself a favor because we're not going to score down here. We haven't been able to do that versus elite competition. Once we get down
right.
here, it made it worse because you're at the 7 or 8 and you had a for sure touchdown. And then I think it was Wingo got interfered with, moved the ball to the 1, and they're able to stuff us.
And I don't know. I'm just that's so frustrating just because like on a quarterback sneak, 4 of them, let's try it. I don't know because like for as explosive as that offense is, like we're top 10 in every other category.
Yeah.
Third down, I think we're third. Rushing yards, passing yards, top 10, top 15. Like explosive offense. We create a lot of explosive in the run and pass game. And within that 20 to goal line, it's just like we get the yips.
Yeah. And that's why, like, if you look at the scoreboards of all these games that you felt like we dominated, we're only winning by like 7 to 10 points at the most. Because when we dominated the Arkansas game last year, I think that was a 10-point game.
Yep.
The only game we blew anyone out is when Florida decided to, not play half their team for whatever reason, or they were hurt, and we blew them
Man.
out. But that wasn't really a fair fight.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Hopefully it gets fixed. Knowing Sark, and just like those guys do a good job of self scouting, just in terms of what they're good at, what they're not, and he's a guy who holds his guys accountable, but he also holds himself accountable. Just from the times I've met him and talked to him, so it'd be interesting to see like what changes just in terms of schematically, or do you bring in a big D lineman and you just line up in the eye and say, we're going to give it to our big back behind the big D lineman? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what changes down there to where we're in the, we're at 88 plus in the red zone percentage wise. So it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. Cause I think right now we're in the high 70s. So
Yeah. Which, I mean, and like when you hear that, it's, oh, it's good. 70%. No, that's terrible. That's 3 possessions a game. You're not scoring touchdowns. That's 21 points off the table.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like that's the last thing. If that gets unlocked, Texas is going to start blowing teams out. They'll end up winning a national championship. That really is the last piece if everything else stays consistent, because the defense is there, the offensive line is there, the wide receivers are there. Just need to get the running game and red zone going.
Have to be able to run the ball. Like, I don't know a lot, but I know what I know. When you can run the ball, you can impose your will on people. Like it helps to have a good quarterback and be able to throw the ball downfield. But that's when you like need it. Game's tied, down 3, down 6. You need a drive. Yeah, nice to have a guy who can sling it around. Nice to have 5 stars rolling in that position. But when it comes to winning, that's what made Ohio State so good. That's why they won a national championship. They could stop the run. Granted, they struggled versus quarterback run versus Notre Dame, right? But they could run the ball. Like, and like Texas has stud running backs. And we gotta get that train going.
No, for sure. That's the thing too. We just got to get, hopefully Baxter can be somewhat healthy. I don't expect him to be healthy at the beginning of the year, but hopefully Christian Clark too, because I think he might be the most talented or the second most talented running back on the team.
I like Christian Clark.
I
like guys who can inflict pain when you try and tackle him.
Because he's got
that wears on you.
That leg test, when you just look at running backs quads and you're like, that guy's going to be good. The Broncos have that now too with RJ Harvey. They posted a picture of that dude's quads.
Man, huge. But that's a very telling story. Like, I don't want backs with small legs because they tend to go down easy.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you're Bijan with the shiftiness, you probably need some big legs.
He was different. That's
one
of my favorite players of Scout ever. Oh.
Guys, this was the first edition of Texas Primetime Live. We took it easy with this one, easing Brandon into it a little bit with 38 minutes. We'll go a bit longer the next week, and we'll have a lot to talk about because fall camp battles, more news will come out. We'll see a little bit more about the competitions that are going on. And do us a favor, go over to Instagram, give Brandon a follow right there. He's going to be streaming NCAA 26 for anyone that wants to watch that. He's going to be streaming Texas, so we'll see how he does.